Everybody, it has been a long time, but we finally made it back to getting some recording done. It's the Very Terrible Podcast, brought to you on Spotify and all your favorite podcast servers. Either way, we've been gone for a while. School is in session, and B is not here today because she's busy at school. So you're stuck with me in the solo show, just trying to give you guys an update and where we've been and what we've been doing. We just went back and updated the Facebook and Instagram feeds, and I realized that we've been doing this death pool, and we got it from a different radio show. We got it from 102.5. They've got this thing where you get points for people dying, and that's what we ended up doing. So we made our own death pool list. We've posted that up to the Facebook and Instagram pages for you to check out. And with the death of America's favorite game show host, Bob Barker, I am on the board. Nope, that was supposed to be a cash register sound. Take it to the bank. So Bob Barker passes away at the age of 99 from being just 99 and Alzheimer's disease. And so I don't know. We don't have an end for this game. We decided to set this game up after we heard about it on a different radio show. Then we go through and we make the list, post the list, we do all this stuff, and we're watching, and we realized we have no idea what we're going to do for a prize. We don't know how to keep score. I think we're just going to end it on the end of the year. Whenever the year ends, we're just going to just say, okay, let's add up ones and see who wins, and then I don't know what we do from there. But hopefully on the next episode, college football season is back. Week 1 is already complete. So hopefully we'll get B back and we can start doing some college football predictions. And hopefully it goes better than last year, because we started a few weeks of college football predictions and then the hurricane hit and then we lost a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of time. And even in the last few weeks we've had some near-miss hurricanes here. And it's hurricane season. We're right in the midst of it. So we're going to hold on to real tight to everything, and we're going to hopefully be able to get you guys some college football picks as we go through week by week. Speaking of college football, I'd say it's about almost a month, and this is how long it's been since we've been together. Almost a month ago, Lori sends a text to my phone of a screenshot that says that College Gameday is going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina for week 1 of the Duke's Mayo Classic, North Carolina versus South Carolina. We have family up in North Carolina. The game is in North Carolina. And I think we've discussed it on previous shows that I have almost crippling flight anxiety. So that's fun. Makes for great vacations, makes for a good time. So I decided that to continue my journey to try to make myself better, that I was going to make this commitment to go to this College Game Day experience and the football game and see some family and see some friends while I'm up there. I, of course, invite B because her and I do college football together all the time. And, she had a little bit of issues on her last time she went up there on a flight. So she was a little nervous and I was a little nervous, and we mixed our nervous together and we made it work. It was quite the challenge. We put some time into it. We watched videos. We joined online groups of people with flight anxiety and the tricks that they use. And, we went to the airport over and over and watched just planes take off and land, and we would go have lunch at the airport and we'd have snacks at the airport. You can park at the airport for $3 an hour. So if you can spend an hour and a half, drop $5, and it helped us on our way. And actually a really good move on her part, come to find out, and this is what we learned, is that if you ever have a choice, take the early flights. The first flight we took out left at 6 a.m., which, they want you at the airport 2 hours early. And if you're doing math at home, that means we have to be there at 5 a.m., which means we have to leave the house by 4 a.m., which means I've got to get up at 3:30. And having flight anxiety and not being able to sleep, and then having to get up at 3:30 for a 6 a.m. flight, as you can imagine, very, very tired. But we actually did really, really well. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised. The last time I had flown was before COVID. I had whatever the regular brand, no brand name for Valium, whatever the generic is. And it was actually, I think it was around January 6th. It was the January 6th Washington issue, because when we were flying, we flew up, it was okay, it wasn't great. Had a great vacation, and on the way back, I ended up, I saw the line of people going into Washington, D.C., all pissed off and angry at the world. And I just got really jerky and nervous. So I took, twice as much as the suggested dosage, and it hit a home run. I tell you, I was relaxed. I was having a great time. So I call my newly assigned doctor, because when you work in a field like I do, we change doctors and change insurances every year. So my doctor pretty much through a meeting of saying, hey, I'd really like to have this medication again so I can have a good flight and I can, be able to do this with my family and have a good vacation, tells me that he doesn't believe in the medication, so he will not be writing me a prescription for anything. He just believes I have to suck it up and do it. So I thought, as a doctor, that was some shit. But yeah, so I basically had to go with this doctor that said he doesn't believe in that medicine. To which I'd love to say, well, I don't believe in CPR for your family, but here we are. So I had to go cold turkey, which I guess at the end of this whole thing was my goal in the first place, was to go cold turkey. So cold turkey it was, and a cold turkey sandwich is what I was given, and a cold turkey sandwich is what I ate. Did really, really well on the way up. That early morning 6 a.m. flight, you're still half asleep. Got a couple of Dunkin' Donuts in us. We get on, we nervously get on the plane. My father stepped up and upgraded our tickets from common folk to first class, which is that was the biggest difference maker, I think. From going into where the cattle sit all the way in the back to sitting up where the upper echelons would sit. Yeah, it's the same plane. Yeah, it's only another 150 feet up in the front. What a different experience. The seats are wider. They recline. There's drinks ahead of time. Still did the flight with no alcohol. I had orange juice and I had Coke Zero. And, I wanted to keep on my toes in case B needed my help. But having that first class upgrade was just huge. The downside of it is that we're never going to fly regular again. You're just never going to do it. Once you go first class, you realize what's up there. You're just going to pay the extra money. That's all there's going to be. So, we get on the plane. We do our thing. I bought a pair of, what are they called? Sound blocking headsets, the soundproof headsets. And I bought those for me. And once I got on the plane and I realized how, B was going to have a little bit of difficulty with it, she had bought herself a neck pillow, and then I had the headphones, and I decided, well, why don't she just go ahead and take everything? And then she said, out of the kindness of her heart, says, well, you go ahead and take the neck pillow, I'll go ahead and take the headset. Just a home run for both of us. The headset blocked out all the sounds that was, making her nervous and upset. I had a neck pillow and I was exhausted. I actually ended up almost falling asleep. Had just a really great flight all the way up. And then we come into Charlotte Airport. So off of the adrenaline rush of getting off of a very, very beautiful and smooth flight from a 787-800, we get into the Charlotte Airport. And coming from Fort Myers Airport, now granted, having flight anxiety will give you one thing, is you don't know shit about airports. You don't know which ones are good and which ones are bad, and this is where you go hang out, and this is where the snacks are. You have no idea. All I know is in Fort Myers, there's nice restaurants and there's bars and things you can get at in the common area, and then there's also more bars and restaurants you can get to in the departing area, where everybody's really in and out of the high security area. So that Fort Myers has everything. We get into Charlotte, and you get off in this beautiful area full of bagel restaurants and snacks and stands and all this fun stuff. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to eat, because it's now 8 o'clock in the morning. We haven't even really had a real breakfast. We're going to go ahead. We want to go try to get something to eat. We have to go pick up our suitcases. We go through. We go through what I did not realize at the time was the minnow trap of this airport. Once you go out of that area, you can't go back into that area. So we went out to go get our luggage, because luggage was the priority, and we were not allowed to come back in. So now we're stuck in this middle of a construction area. They're calling it a remodel. It's just terrible. It's a shithole airport, Charlotte, CLT, Charlotte, International Airport. Just a shithole, dirty, half under construction airport. And the pisser is that I wanted to go back, into the part where, oh, like, look, there's these delicious snacks and things I can eat and I can have a drink and we can do things. And no, you're not going back to any of that. Not only were you not allowed to go back into that, they are very adamant about telling you you are not allowed to go back into any of that. So we were stuck with I don't even remember what it was called. It was called like the Charlotte's. It was basically a 7-Eleven stuck in the basement of the airport. And it had overpriced sandwiches and overpriced salads and Pepsi and Cokes and things like that. So I remember vividly paying $14 for half of an Italian sandwich and one Mountain Dew. So they had you there. We spent a few hours in the airport by the time my sister came down from where she lived in Raleigh, comes down to the airport to come pick us up. We got to spend lots of time people watching. Culture shock. I kind of forgot that it's a politically different area. So you get into you leave Fort Myers, land of the free in Florida that didn't close for COVID. We go back up to democratically run North Carolina, and not to make this political, but you can tell attitudes are different. I mean, you get off the plane and there's people still wearing masks, and I went, I don't know, unless there's some new variant that, we know there's a new one, but half the people in the department have already had it. It's not a big deal. There's stands that, here, take a free mask. I'm like, for what? What are we taking a free mask for? But, the distancing, the mask, there's these stickers on the floor. It's like time travel. It's like I went back to 2020. But so in an airport that's half under construction and full of cranky people, it's American Airlines hub, so you have the heavy influence of American Airlines there. However, just a dumpy airport. Best of luck to them. I hope the remodel goes well. Let's see here. I wrote everything down in the phone today. So we get out from the airport. My sister comes, picks us up. We had rented a VRBO house. I don't know, Verbo, is that, I don't even know how you pronounce it. So it's not Airbnb, but the other one. And we rented a house for all of us to stay in, friends and family. It's not available till 3 p.m. Of course, we land at 8 a.m., so a lot of holding your hand on your ass and waiting around for things to open up. My sister comes, picks us up, and she's not from the area either, so we're all flying blind. We find a park, and another one. You go from Florida to North Carolina. You can go outside and breathe the air. It's amazing. I went outside and went, oh, it's only 68 outside. This is fantastic. You can breathe the air. You can feel the breezes. You're not already soaking wet as soon as you walk outside the house. It's not half bad. I'm like, okay. And then, so we get in the car and we start driving along, and holy shit, there's hills. You don't have hills down here either. So now we go through and we have hills. We're driving up and down and around corners and things like that. And I'm like, you don't get car sick, but you can definitely feel a difference of, flat Florida pre-made, right angle roads versus the things with curves and hills and blind curves and things like that. Another thing that the roads have, which I cannot, unless someone from North Carolina can email the show, right on Facebook, right on Instagram, something, explain to me, North Carolinians, what it is about, like, we're going down a 3-lane road. The lane on the right just stops. There's no merge arrows. There's nothing. It just kind of disappears. Boop, done. Then all of a sudden, people shoot over and off they go. Now, they don't use blinkers either. So as much as we talk trash about Florida drivers, and they're not great, these North Carolina drivers are just as bad. So everybody's cutting in front of everybody else in lanes that run out. Or if you have a car that you just don't want, you have to make a stop, or you're an Uber Eats driver or a delivery driver, FedEx, UPS, doesn't matter. You just stop in the right lane. Hell with it. Just stop. No one gives a shit. And yeah, this is how they do it. And you're just kind of going along, and lanes are running out. So we had some difficulties navigating through the city of Charlotte. We go to this park, once again, beautiful, top-notch parks. Over in Cape Coral, Florida, we got a $66 million go bond for parks. So Parks and Recs could to upgrade what they have. They could add new parks. We can do all these things. My God, these guys couldn't hold a candle to what is happening up in North Carolina. Big, long, beautiful parks, hills, green grass. Everything is cut. Everything is clean. little creek or half a little river runs right through the middle of it. I mean, it's postcard pictures. And then you come back and you look at these Florida parks where they're half swamp water, all the time flooded over from the torrential downpours, and it's 912 degrees outside, so your ass isn't going in a park anyway because you're going to get eaten by mosquitoes. So what a wonderful time we had. Even walking through, just you're walking around, it's on grass that feels good on your feet, and it's not 900 degrees, and the air was fresh and everything was good. We were able then to take a bunch of time there and spend time with that, and it just makes you reflect on what you have versus what you don't have. We got some catching up to do. We went then, as time went on, we were getting close. We got a text message you can get in the house, so we went to the grocery store. Once again, different, just everything was fun different. I guess that's the way I would put it. It was a fun different. The things that, like, there's a certain brands of soda that friends of mine, like down here, were like, if you ever go up north, get me Sun Drop cherry lemonade, whatever the hell it is. It just sits on the shelf up there. It's just like, yeah, nobody likes it. It's sitting right here. You know, things that we take for granted or they're hot commodity down here, commonplace up there, and I'm sure it's vice versa. But the price is surprisingly high. You know, we went to Food Line, which is, I guess, the equivalent of the Walmart grocery of the North Carolina area. It's dollar for dollar. You're like, yeah, you definitely notice you're paying more. The sales tax is higher. You can definitely tell that it's a little bit extra to pay to play there. Getting into the house, good time. You know, we were in a little older area in Charlotte. So in this little older area, and the houses I'm thinking are from the 1930s. I mean, they are very old. They're updated. You know, they have new interiors and things like that in them, but you can tell it's old construction. Once again, you're on hills. You walk up this driveway, you get in the house. Well, here's what happens. If you have a house from the 1930s and it's built on a hill, eventually the foundation's going to settle. The damn house was crooked. I'm in the living room and I go to walk into my bedroom and you can feel yourself walking downhill. And I went, well, this is weird. So I kind of mentioned it to everybody who all of them live up in North Carolina. And I said, hey, did you guys ever notice we're walking downhill to go into the bedrooms? And they went, yeah, it's an old house. That's just what they do. That's just what they do. Down here, I've got people in Cape Coral and Fort Myers that are like paying money to lift their houses up to make them higher from the next hurricane not to eat their house. And these people are living with crooked houses and like, it's just the way it is. We'll put new trim up. You'll never notice. So that's once again, it's a different culture. It's a very interesting area. The trip was short. The trip was only 3 days. It was 1 day to get there, 1 day for football, and then 1 day to hang out, and then we went home. College game day. College game day in my house is a staple. There is a rule around the house that you are not allowed to talk between 9 a.m. and 9:03 a.m. on Saturdays when Reese Davis does his voice-in intro. It is the best. I don't even like television. I don't watch television. I couldn't care less. I'm telling you, that is the 3 minutes every week where I will sit there and I will listen to Reese Davis do his voiceover intro for College Game Day. Greatest thing ever. So we get to in Charlotte, in their big main city park, is the setup for College Game Day. And the one thing I will tell you is that you have seen it on TV. You have watched the cameras, and they have the cameras that float around and all that stuff. It is bigger than you think. It is more congested than you think. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, as we're sitting there, standing there, we got there 2 hours before the show started. And even at 2 hours before the show started, over 1,000 people are already there. They've been there since 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, I'd have to say, almost a football field back away from the stage, and that's hours before the show starts. And now you've still got more people showing up, and the roads get clogged. And then, there's porta potties, I guess, for the bathroom. So that was a whole thing. But, even those lines start getting long, and you realize, oh, this starts feeling like a concert. When I was younger, we used to do these, heavy metal mosh pit concerts, and you're just shoulder to shoulder with all these people pushing and shoving. That's what it was. But it was for college football. But, what a really great representation, though. Any major team that you would root for had some fan there. So even though we're in Charlotte rooting for North Carolina or South Carolina, which was the majority of the fans by nature, I'm in there in my USF garb, B is wearing her Wyoming shirt. We've got people of this, the Ohio States, the Michigans, all the big names, and then even like smaller teams, the Hawaii, the Texas Techs. I mean, all that stuff. I really felt like I saw just about every team. Somebody had something from there. So what a really great time it was. Everybody behaved themselves. There were no fights. There were no problems. But, once again, it brought the city money. And this is the part I think we got to, the show starts at 9. We got to maybe 10:30. You're just standing there. I'd never seen a TV show before. Now, for any of you who have ever watched a TV show get made, especially a live TV show, there's a lot of standing around. There's so much standing around because if the show's not going and people aren't cheering, they go to commercial break, everybody just shuts up and stares at each other. And there's a little hoot-ha or whatever it is here and there. There's really not a lot going on until you see the show come back up, and then everybody starts in again. Between takes and things like that, you just stand, and then the sun came out, and then North Carolina goes from very nice to just regular Florida hot very quickly. And as long as you're in that direct sunlight, boy, I tell you, you catch it. We caught it, and then we just realized we're like, okay, this isn't so great. And we kind of moved around. We saw some things, used the bathroom, and now it's 10:30. It's time. We got to find something to eat. I was very, surprised and disappointed in the fact of there's the main, I say the center of the city was this park. And around the center of that city are all the restaurants. But half the restaurants are open, and half of them are still closed. Now, here's the thing. There was no, you can't serve beer before a certain hour, because that was already happening. There were no restrictions on anything. So my question was simply this, is if I owned a restaurant, why in the hell would I be closed on a day where you've got just thousands of people that need to eat standing right in front of your building? But half of them were closed. They didn't open up till I think 11:30. And at that point, we're just, we couldn't find anything else to eat. So we ended up just, I don't even remember how we did. We found something to snack on and we got the hell out of there. And because the College Game Day show starts at 9 a.m., the kickoff to the game that we're going to go to for that whole College Game Day doesn't kick off till 7:30 p.m. And there's a lot to do as far as eating and napping and watching regular football on TV until that time. So but the College Game Day experience was very surreal. Very busy. We got fairly close. We'll try to get some pictures up on Facebook and Instagram of that. But at 5:30 they opened at the gates. So at 5:30 we go back around the park area, back to Bank of America Stadium. Now, we're going to break down Bank of America Stadium because it's an NFL caliber stadium, fine. And I don't think they've ever had a Super Bowl there, or they've never had anything. And we're just accustomed to Raymond James because that's our local stadium. Raymond James has had multiple Super Bowls there. It's a good city. It has the space to entertain. It has the amenities to entertain. And it does what it has to do. And this is what we've gotten. We've become accustomed to it. To me, that's just normal. This is Raymond James, and this is what I thought was a mediocre stadium at best, because you see the ones out in Los Angeles and Las Vegas and the new generation of stadium coming up. And Raymond James is not going to be able to compete in the future. But Bank of America Stadium is 10 years behind Raymond James. So we get up to this, it's very pretty on the outside, sure. And we selected the seats intentionally to have, the Charlotte skyscrapers are off to one side. So when I picked seats intentionally to sit in the opposite corner, so when I take pictures of the field, that they would have the skyscrapers in the background. The happens to be the South Carolina sideline. So, we get into the stadium, and it's not as updated as Raymond James. It is hard to get around. There are no signs as far as where you need to go to get to your section. So we're in section, I don't even know. It doesn't make a difference. It started with a 3. That's because we were up that high. So we were up in the nosebleed section, and we'll just say, for argument's sake, 355. I don't even know. So, we're looking for 355. You can't find it. We could find 155. We could find, we couldn't find any arrows that go up. So just from being in stadiums, B was able to find, there's a ramp. I guess we're just going to go up the ramp. And we walked the ramps all the way up. We found our way there, but limited signage, different food concession stands on different levels. It was just weird. Pizza on the first level all over the place. You can only find one pizza at the third level, and it was in the wrong corner. It was just all messed up. So, and then Raymond James. When you go out to the concession stands, every upright and every post out in the concession stands has some kind of a TV on it. It has the game that you're there to see, or it'll have NFL Red Zone in it if you're there for an NFL game. It'll have something going on. So while you're standing in the draconianly long lines, trying to wait forever for your food and whatever overpriced item you're going to get, that you have something to watch to keep yourself entertained. So when you hear the crowd go nuts, you kind of figure out what's going on by watching the TV. Bank of America, no TVs. Best of luck to you. We ended up finding we had to pick up a few things of food. The crowd goes nuts. No clue what's going on. They did have water misters. That was the only good positive thing I could find, is they had the little spray heads or the water misters to keep you cool. But yeah, no TVs. Things were kind of older, not exactly kept up, not exactly clean. Prices, once again, North Carolina prices are just higher than what you're used to paying, but you're there for the experience, so just do it. But yeah, so Bank of America Stadium comes up short on the whole long term, for the stadiums and stuff. You can tell that. I don't know how you're going to fit another one in there to tear one down or put one up, but they got work to do. And you can see from the Las Vegases and Los Angeles that the new generation of stadium is well on its way. So now let's talk about these fans. So I guess from being a supporter of the USF Bulls all these years, you become accustomed to a certain brand of fan. I can't even describe to you how these. You ever seen like a rich little spoiled shit whose dad is a lawyer, and he's never going to get in trouble because his dad will always get him out of trouble, and he's got on a ridiculous button down like polo shirt with a pair of khaki tight shorts and some boat shoes. That was every fan there. Every one of these cookie cutter snotty nosed kids just all fell out of the same stupid conveyor belt of shit, and just snotty little assholes. And you're just around them, and they were rude. They don't understand the simplistic way to walk around a stadium. It's like driving. If you're walking, you walk on the right, no matter which way you go, and then everybody gets to where they got to go. Or if you're up in the nosebleed section like we were, to go up the stairs or go down the stairs, if whatever way you go, just go on the right. These fucks, they go out and they're like having conversations in the middle of the stairs. They're having conversations in the middle of the aisles. In game day, they're bringing their dogs down. The game day is loud and crowded, and the poor dogs. I felt bad for the dogs. I mean, the people are bringing their dogs down. Just shitty people. So if you're a North Carolina or South Carolina fan and you have a pair of tight khaki shorts or a button-down shirt, you can go fuck yourself. You're terrible people. We've decided that that B will not be attending North Carolina or South Carolina based strictly on what we saw at the time. So the game we're going to go see is called the Duke's Mayo Classic. So unbeknownst to me until that day, Duke's Mayonnaise is a big deal in North Carolina. North Carolina is the home state of Duke's Mayonnaise, and you don't bring Hellmann's around anywhere around a North Carolina house. So much to the chagrin of some people I work with who hate mayonnaise, there was a lot of mayonnaise-based activities. Mayonnaise eating contests, people soaking themselves in mayonnaise, stacking jars of mayonnaise like Jenga blocks. Just a lot of fun stuff. They were giving out mayonnaise hats, and they had mayonnaise shirts, and they had all this other stuff. So it was but it was a fun theme though, all the way around. And from what I can tell, we have Duke's Mayonnaise down here, and we've had it only because it was on sale once or twice. And as they say, it's got twang. And then, the game was fine. Everybody had a good time at the game. North Carolina comes out on top big time over South Carolina. South Carolina's got some work to do. They have no offensive line. Their defense struggled. Spencer Rattler could not buy himself enough time, and he needs new receivers, or needs healthy receivers. It was a one-sided affair. North Carolina came out for Mac Brown's 100th North Carolina win in stunning style. Drake May is an excellent quarterback, well on his way to big things in the NFL. Their defense was on point. I think it was the defense of the week that ESPN had taken a vote on, but they were stellar. Just a one-sided affair, really, overall. North Carolina dominates South Carolina in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And so the next day is our free day. Go around the city of Charlotte, partake in the city-based activities. Once again, it was a fine city. It's just it's very expensive. You don't hang around in Charlotte unless you got some money in your pocket. It's surprisingly low amount of hipster activity. So Asheville, North Carolina, hipster capital of what I assume is America, not that far away. North Carolinians love their craft beers and breweries. Went to a couple in the Charlotte area. Really, though, not very hipstery by standard. I mean, it was very nice and clean, very upkept, very new. So that was a surprise I wasn't really expecting. But yeah, like I said, we spent some good family quality time, and then on the way home, once again, it was funny as with the whole flight anxiety thing. The flight anxiety kicks back up the night before. Oh God, get nervous, get stomach cramps, get all this. It's a real, with most anxieties, it's real to the person who's having it. So not the best flyer, but I had this great flight on the way up, so I'm motivated. I'm like, this is going to be great. And B's got her headset, and I've got a neck pillow, and it was a 9 a.m. flight, so it wasn't terribly late. And we got to go back into Charlotte Airport and stay in the nice section this time because it's for people that are leaving. So we got to have Dunkin' Donuts, and then we got to sit there and have like the clean bathrooms and the clean setup, and that part of the Charlotte Airport was much better. And then we take our flight home, and I don't know, once again, having flight anxiety, I don't have a whole lot of experience. With my having limited experience, the only thing I can tell you is that there is a difference between Boeing and Airbus. Boeing is what we took on the way up, and we had a great time. Airbus is what we took on the way home. And I've taken the Airbus before, and I don't remember, but I think we had an old military pilot. This guy wanted to manually fly the plane everywhere. I don't think he wanted to use the autopilot because he absolutely just manually flew this plane, and you could feel every single thing. And through a lot of the research we did, coming in for your final approach, there's a method to which they do it. This man did not use that method at all. It was very interesting. You should either take your, either gain or lose altitude up or down, or you're turning left or right. This guy coming into Fort Myers had the nose down, and he's turning, and he feels like he's trying to power slide it into the wind, and the whole plane's bouncing. So that wasn't so much fun for anybody, either B or I to have to deal with that. But yeah, that was the flight home. We did get home safe, and now we are back. But she's back in school, and I am back here with you after quite a long break. And I have not done my part to keep up on the shows, and I apologize for that. You just have to make time, and I haven't been making the time. So that's basically all we've been up to. I'm hoping to get her on the show soon. Maybe even before today. I'm sorry, not before today. Today is Thursday, so maybe we can get her on before college football this week for week 2. If not, we'll get her on before week 3. We'll start some college football predictions that you can get involved in as well. Come and find us on Facebook. Let's see. What are we on now? We are on Facebook, Instagram. I don't even know. We're not on TikTok. Twitter. We got Twitter. Nobody cares about Twitter, X, or whatever the hell that is. Yeah. So otherwise than that, it's JDVT at podcast at gmail.com. And you know where to find us. And with that, and my little exit music that I do. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. It's been a very terrible podcast.